Go.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode number 53 of the Lift Free and Diet Hard podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Coates. And next week, I'm flying down to meet up with Luka Hocevar at his event. Luka's here with me. And so I brought him on. I actually wanted to talk about this event. I mean, anybody who's listened to this for any amount of time knows I'm passionate about attending these fitness conferences because they've done, well, tons for my career. So Luka's event now, I think you changed the name a little bit. I would call it the Vigor Ground Fitness and Business Summit, but you got it. Vigor Ground presents the Fitness and Business.
It's Vigor Ground Fitness and Business Summit, and then we'll have people making landing pages and switch shit up without me knowing.
That's what that is.
Yeah,
I was there in 2017, and that was when I first started traveling around. I didn't know a lot of people. I knew Pete Dupuis and Mark Fisher, who presented there, but I met Martin Rooney and Sam Pogue's become a good buddy of mine, and just it goes on and on. John Russin. So I'm excited for this one. Now we all know the world is full of fucking crazy challenges right now. So I guess I want to bring you on to talk about what this event's going to offer, right? And maybe there'll be some listeners who'll say, the hell with it. We've missed out on so much this last 18 months that this is worth checking out.
I mean, it's let me just kind of create some context around it too, because putting an event on at this time, and especially depending on which state you're in. I'm in Washington, obviously, some states it's easier than other states. But in general, I mean, even if you're in a state that's pretty open, you're kind of getting issues with the travel, right? Like, I mean, international travel is completely blocked out. The last live event that we had, we sold out, and we had 14 countries. It was at least 30 plus people from international. Actually, if you count Canada, it was over 40 people at that event were international in Canada. So, it obviously blocks off a lot of different things people that we usually have. And, a lot of folks don't want to travel right now, if it's specific states, if it's the specific regulations and so on and so forth. So just dealing with that has been crazy. But, I mean, the theme, every year we have a theme. This year the theme is can't stop, won't stop. And it was that theme, obviously, because it's been 2 years, has been the craziest time, for small business period, for people period, but for the fitness industry has been one of the most challenging times. I mean, it has been the most challenging time ever. You're talking about the last statistics I looked up was over 14,000 gyms closed out of 38,000 in the U.S. And that's a rolling number, because now you have eviction notices kind of going out and stuff like that in different states that weren't there before. So certain rents have to be paid back. I mean, it's a cluster, right? And that was the whole premise of it was, won't stop from a perspective of me personally. Like, I'm so committed to this industry, so passionate about it. It changed my life. For anybody who knows my story, is pretty crazy. But and so I'm very, very bought in. We had a short notice on putting this on, which was like about 3.5 months. Which for anybody who knows about events, like we had it booked out before, but 3.5 months before we were like, hey, you'll be able to do this event at the Hyatt, right? And you'll be able to have, 100 plus 200, whatever people that you guys usually have. And so that's already a short amount of time to do it. And to say yes is a very, very big commitment. And then with everything else that has happened in between, it's been even crazier because we've had cancellations of people, speakers, we've had, changes. And I personally was just like, man, I want to do it, one, because I feel like people, I mean, every year when we do it, I feel like people need this. I feel like people need this even more right now. I mean, a lot of folks are uncertain about the future, whether it's brick and mortar, whether it's online. There's constantly new, I mean, same thing. I do the stat stuff because we're working on another business here. It's like, 69,000 new fitness positions open up every year in the US. So you're looking at like around that amount of new coaches that need help to kind of navigate, saying everything from kind of how to become a better coach and better trainer, get results with clients. But obviously a big one is like, how do I build my career? Whether it's, brick and mortar offline, whether it's online, whether it's a hybrid, whether it's like, what are all the different possibilities for me? And then from people that do this, like have been there, have done it, are still doing it. They're not theoretical, right? They have something that they spend a lot of time building and then show others how to do it. And pretty much that's what the summit is. And I've always tried to, I'll say it's certainly heavy on people that are very close to me and my friends that speak. But I do always try to also bring, new people from new areas that are maybe a little bit different, but do great stuff, if that makes sense, right? And this year is no different, where whether it's somebody that is killing it on social media. You got a Don Saladino who, was an owner of one of the top gyms in New York, Drive 495. And because of all the stuff that happened, had to shift, right? And built a brand and is now online and doing a lot of amazing stuff. I mean, this is the folks you want to learn from, right? Is like, if somebody goes like, yeah, listen, I'm a personal trainer, I'm a trainer, I want to build my clientele up, but I'm also interested in online and I want to do this. Oh, I want to get brand sponsorships. All right, cool. Well, we got everybody that's like done this, is doing this, and is going to show you how to do it. Like, and it's to me, it's always been the craziest because like yourself, right? I started, investing heavily into personal development, and I've been, 20 years ago, and it's like I've been going to so many events in the last 15 years. It's a mind-boggling number, and they changed my life because they built all the relationships. Obviously I gained knowledge from it. I think the relationships are even more valuable than the knowledge that I gain and the insights that I gain. And it's been part of what's, I say, helped me be successful in this industry. So to me, the ticket prices are always so little, right, of an investment. If you look at stock and you go like, oh, I put money in Apple or here, like it's such a small investment for how much ROI you get as a human and as a coach, that it's not even, it's not even a question whether you should do it or not.
I think the first thing that happened to me, because the first event I went to was some fitness summit in Kansas City in May of 2017, and then yours in September. And it almost blew the doors open on what you see is out there, what other people are doing, what the self-imposed limitations you place on what you can do with your own career as a coach on the gym floor. Here's how much money I can possibly make. Here's what I can do with my career. I remember, like, I just presented at something in Spokane, and part of the presentation was, I remember being that coach, reading T Nation, listening to podcasts, and going, oh, look at all these people. These are like, this is this elite insider tier of the industry, and then I'm thinking, then there's the rest of us. We're all on the gym floor. And I don't understand the gap, how those people got there. But then I start going to these events, start meeting some of these people, and I understand the journey. And I get a little deeper into it, develop networking connections, then start a podcast, and then start developing career capital, start writing for my website. Next thing you know, I've got an invitation to write for T Nation. It's like, where the hell did that come from? And just keep doing this stuff. And then me and Dean Somerset, we put together our conference after traveling to these type of conferences. And our dumbasses put it on the same fucking weekend as you did in 2019. And I missed out on Berardi and that event, right? So we had something planned for 2020. We made sure we weren't doing it on the same weekend. Whoops, nobody got to do anything. So next year when we do it, we will be talking. We're not doing it on the same weekend because we'll do it in September.
Perfect. And it's a great, honestly, like, you're a great example, man. Like, you took a lot of like what you learned, and I think it started here. And I pulled up some notes because I was just reading and listening to some stuff last night that really plays into this. But you took the knowledge and you started believing in, man, you started doing all this stuff. And I look at your kind of progress in the last 2 years has been nuts, like in the best of ways, and you're such a great example of like putting head down and going like, all right, man, I'm gonna do this. You know what I mean? And you've absolutely done it. And I was listening to some psychology. This I can't remember because last night I was reading a bunch of stuff and going to Berardi's podcast and all this. But you kind of do things in two phases. One is you transform worldview, and then you develop the capability of self, right? And so first you change your understanding of self. Then we revise our belief systems, right? Because you're saying, oh, well, these people do this and it's like this. You kind of you look at it and you go like, that's not me, right? Exactly. But then there's a point in time when you start changing your understanding of self. Like, you know what? If I do these things and I apply myself, yeah, I can make that happen, right? Then you revise your belief systems. You don't go like, oh, I'm not like that. I can't talk on stage. I'm not a good writer, right? You start revising that shit. And then you change your lifestyle and your behaviors to match that, right? Those are the kind of three things that you end up doing. And the thing is that like these events and conferences, sometimes it is books, but to me, it's visceral. It's like skin to skin when you meet people and stuff like that. And you hear a story, and the story is like, it's so much like your story, for instance, or there's points that you connect to, and somebody's on stage, or you meet, and it's like, man, like, oh, they had a shitty start too. They didn't coach anybody. They didn't write for anybody. Oh, wow. It took them like 5 years before anybody picked up their article. Right. But now they're, when you see them, they wrote books and this, that, and the other, whatever. All of a sudden you start going like, man, maybe I can do that too. Right. It's like it plants a seed, because one thing is for sure, and this is like where all I would say the behavioral scientists, study, and they go, listen, knowledge, when there's a belief that you can't, like if your own belief is like, I can't do this, there's no way. All the knowledge you gain is nothing. It won't do anything. Like you go through all the books, all the stuff. If you have a subconscious, if you have a belief that you can't achieve it, like, I mean, this has been one of the most studied things, right? Like that belief will drive you to then not apply the knowledge that you have, because you don't think it's just like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? And that's where I found, like, I would say, so many of, when you have, I mean, I remember moments of people that I met, conferences I went to, seminars that I went to, that were like, would shape my career, right? There was a conversation that I have, there was something that would happen, and it would like, and one of them, the things would be is that my belief would change, right? And then the knowledge that I gained, I would actually be able to apply it. And so, I mean, and of course, of course, I'm as biased as it gets about my own conference, but the reality is like, this is, I've been to 250 live events in the last 15 years, since 2006. And like all of those now, some of them better, some of them not as good, some of them, but the reality is I kept going because they would do so much for me from a place of belief, and being able to envision and see, people that would tell their stories like, nah, like I was here, but now I'm here. Very rarely do you hear a story as like, yeah, like I did this for a year, I blew up, made millions, was really successful. It's like usually like it's a story of struggle, or there's a rise and there's a fall and then there's a rise again. It's the hero's journey, but when you keep hearing these hero's journey of other people, like you start seeing yourself in kind of that journey and being like, man, I think I can do this. So I think that's why it's so valuable to get out of your environment, right? Because environments shape behaviors. They're the fastest trigger to shape behaviors. And so to get into this environment that is inspiring, where people are uplifting, that share their heroes' journeys of transformation, right? I mean, it's like, man, you get put in the cooker, you know what I'm saying, to change. And so it's never, I can't ever see that like slowing down. Maybe I won't keep going to as many conferences, obviously busier, more businesses, this, that, the other, but that's still going to be such a big part, because like I'll go and, me and Farouj will go to stuff a lot of times, just to connect with the people. It's not like, ooh, let me, listen to this presentation. It's let me connect to the people. And that's worth 10 times the price of admission, right? So I hope that, that's kind of like a lesson beyond like me. If I go down, I mean, we can go into what people will talk about and things like that. Because this year is a pretty strong angle on building both, there's a good chunk of people, like for instance, you got Don Saladino and Mark Megna and myself, who all are gym owners, or, Don's is transitioning there. But and I think that's very important to have, like I've been in brick and mortar for 15 years. I know Mark has been for, I would say, quite a long time now, at least 6, I think. So, I mean, Don was in that for going on 2 decades, right? And so you'll have that side. Then you'll also have the side of, like, hey, this is how you build your social media brand, right? And we live in this world, like you can't avoid it. There's just no way around it, and I don't think, I'll even share what one of my presentations is. My first presentation is called "Coaching is Still the Best Marketing," and then for the digital age, because once again, it's kind of like when you have How to Win Friends and Influence People, and then there's a new book that comes out for the digital age. It's pretty much that, right? Because I believe that your coaching is still the best marketing, 100%. And I think people veer away from that. Now, for the digital age, I also think there's some things that you can do that are very smart, with, like I said, with content creation or with stories showing your clients, not necessarily always before and after pictures like people go ham on. I think that's a very small part of it. It has its place, but we've been doing some things that have really, really worked well. And it doesn't take away from the coaching, meaning like, you don't become the like camera guy, you're your coach. And there's little snippets of stuff that you do that are smart that will actually like really snowball referrals and word of mouth and, the things that matter. And like, and that's, I wanted that to be a big part of like, hey, listen, it's going to be very practical in the sense of like, you listen to my presentation, if you do a bunch of the shit that I tell you to do, like you'll make, like I'm not exaggerating, like you'll make thousands, tens of thousands of dollars this year because it just will work. So, if it's like, if you go to that prezo, apply, go home, like it'll be worth 10 times what you paid for it, minimum.
I really dig what you're saying about social media too. Your coaching experience, you're answering questions and having conversation every single day. You have a gold mine of ideas to share. And people have all this like, well, it's all been said before. This is part of my presentation I did recently. Or, oh, I haven't been doing this long, or I don't have a big enough following to actually share this shit. Well, where the fuck do you think the following starts, right? You once upon a time started with 10 Instagram followers, right? Or, a couple of YouTube viewers, and now you've grown those things to massive numbers. And I'm always wary of the person that says or poo-poos on, oh, you don't need social media. Now, we know you don't need it. We've got a lot of successful people who great thriving businesses, and they don't have big followings. But I also find that there are people who grab on that message because they haven't figured out how to do it yet, or for the time being, they suck at it, and they want to grab onto a belief system that validates that fact that they haven't put effort into it.
100%, right? Like that's such a good point, because it's easy, I have a belief that like there's an older presentation that I did. I might have to pull out some slides from that one for this one, but it was pretty much like, if tomorrow, like there was an outage of like, Wi-Fi internet throughout the world, and we have to go without it for, I don't know, maybe forever or for years, right? You should be able to, like your business and you as a brand and as a coach should be able to be okay. Meaning you're doing a great job with your clients, you have retention, you have referrals, you have word of mouth. It's like, it's going out in the streets, you know what I'm saying? Like you can still, it will not affect your business, okay? I believe that. That's a foundation. Now, with that said, for me to be like, who cares about social media? Well, that's a little wild. Like, here's why it's wild, right? Because I personally, like, there is a mission to, impact is an overused word. Yes, it's become a little foof. I want to make an impact, right? But I feel that everybody that's in this industry that's serious about it does. It's like you have a purpose. You're drawn to that. I absolutely certainly am. And if that's the case, you can't tell me, like every day I get a DM or a message that's very uplifting to me. Honestly, on some days when it's rough for me, like that's the stuff that makes me go like, yo, I got to keep going. I got to like make this bigger, because I'm getting the, it's like, hey, I follow you, like you've changed my career, you've done that, it's like, it's still mind boggling to me. It's shit like a person from France yesterday and like a guy from Nigeria. It's like mind boggling, right? And so to say I want to make an impact and then not try to build your social media, which by the way, your social media, remember, it's really content for your clients too. They follow you, right? I mean, if you're trying to change your clients, you got to understand, like, even if they come frequently, most people to Vigor come 4 days a week, maybe even 5, pretty frequently, which is dope. But that's still 4 or 5 hours a week out of 100, almost 170 or whatever it is, right? Which means that like if they watch my content for an additional, they get hit with the frequency of it a couple, 5 more times per week, and they read an email and they, watch something and they listen to whatever. It just means I'm affecting them more. I'm affecting that change even more. I'm reinforcing those positive things, right? And stories, and changing their narrative about themselves, right? So there's that, okay? Then obviously all prospective clients, that's how they're learning about you. Nobody, at this point in time, people check you out way before they call you, right? They're going to, if you got a blog, they're checking your IG, they're going to your, Facebook, they might go to your Twitter, depending on which marketplace you're in. like they're already checking you out and then they hit you up. Right. I had somebody that DM me yesterday. Every single person goes like, I've been following you. Hey, I'm a firefighter. I'd like to come in and sit down with you. I got to pass this test, whatever. Right. And this is just like a asterisk kind of thing. I don't know if other people are seeing this with our business coaching clients and myself personally. We're getting more DMs for brick and mortar through IG than ever. Okay. For a long time, it was like, oh, that's more for online, this, that, the other. I get about one per week, if not more sometimes. Legit, like I'm in the area, like I want to come train, right? Which is phenomenal. My point being is though, that you can't say that you want to make an impact and help your clients change and then not have content and media. Now which thing you choose to do, that's up to you. Obviously, I believe that obviously still on Instagram and Facebook are still the strongest. I think YouTube makes sense at a certain point. I think podcasts make sense. Now, I'm not saying you should do all of them at the beginning, but an email marketing will forever make sense. But to say like, I don't care about that, I don't need that media. I think that what that is exactly what you said. It's like it's a kind of reflection of I didn't do it, right? Because for some reason I'm afraid to put in, the work or expose myself or whatever it may be. And then I'm like, yeah, you don't need that.
I like to show people, just because my social media has been fun. I think I see Instagram as kind of the main hub for most fitness brands at this point. TikTok is a major growth thing, and I respect anyone who's jumping into it. It's one more thing that takes time, so I haven't done it. You can grow and scale media following rapidly. I think the average engagement or the average follower is a shallower engagement on TikTok, but I think that Instagram is a great opportunity to really connect people. Yesterday, I have a follower, Pat, who's down in Maryland, and she's originally from Edmonton, left 30 years ago. She's in town for some family stuff, reaches out to me and says, hey, I want to come meet you. I want to come see Evolve. Ends up doing a training session with me. And we put that on social media. And she was super thrilled. I showed her a whole bunch of stuff that fixed up some of her training. Like shit like that doesn't happen if you don't go out there and race a brand. And, I get a lot of inquiries because I don't wave around that I do a small mentorship. I coach coaches, right? It's not going to be part of my business. I'm still about training clients and writing and all that, but I get a lot of inquiries about that because people are seeing what I've been doing with my writing and my social media and these other aspects of brand, and they want to get on board with that. So the exact same experience that you're talking about.
I mean, and this, doing this stuff is what attracts more than anything, right? Like, so when you create content, right? I still think that the greatest way to create content, especially when you're in your head, if you're just starting, or maybe you've been doing it for a while, maybe you've been coaching for a while and you've done great with that, but you still haven't gone like hard into the, social media. And I get asked these questions all the time. Like, what do you create? And this is, this could be like a week-long presentation in and of itself, but let's still give some, I'm all about value and practicality and things like that. And you'd be surprised. I mean, the things that you already do is what should be content. That's what it is. Okay. And perfect example is I tried a video, like my phone has so many fucking videos, it's nuts, right? It's like, and sometimes I video like the weirdest shit, but mostly it's things that I'm doing with people. It's not like sometimes like I think list video exercises do well, they just do, sometimes I'm strategic about putting some stuff out, because there's always going to be somebody that goes, I don't know, somebody was, I like doing like kettlebell bodyweight complex type shit for myself. I'm like, I want to enjoy this workout. I'm going to make it hard, but I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to do because it's going to be fun, right? Fun is actually a really good reason to do a workout, by the way. When people get very like, how are you going to progress this and strategize? It's got a lot of stuff going on. It's fucking fun. That's literally like why I'm doing it. And somebody will find themselves being like, man, it would have been more effective if you just did swings and push-ups. I didn't want to fucking do swings and push-ups. Like I wanted to do this. But there's stuff that like, it gets traction, right? So this kettlebell bodyweight complex combo, it gets traction. And then people are like, oh, this shit's good. Let me see what else this guy's got. And now all of a sudden, there's all these coaching videos. It's all my thoughts around training. There's stuff, right? Like, boom, they dive in, they follow, and here we go. Or a list video. Dude, you really got to do like 147 exercises for glutes. Like I don't have to, no, but guess what? It's going to get traction. It's going to get views. And then I can expose people to other things that I'm doing. Right. But the coaching part of it is I got two girls. I mean, I train a lot of people, but a couple of girls were doing swings. I was like, hey, let's break this down because, one of them, the hip hinge is too high when she's swinging. So we do dead stop swings. And it's like in our session, I'm like, all right, ladies, we do one set, we clean it up a little bit, boom, we do another set. I just film it. It's like 45 seconds long, right? Looks great. They do a great job. I post this on IG. I don't know, get on it's about 10,000 views. I posted on Facebook. I put it took off, and then I put a little bit of money, like $25 behind it or something like that. It's at 300,000 views right now within like 4 days, right? And yes, like my audience on Facebook is pretty big, right, on the Vigor page. But my point being is, it went viral regardless. So somebody posted that, and it goes viral, and it's got over 1,000 shares. But let's say you get you usually get no shares or 5, but now all of a sudden you got 50, right? And boom, you got more. But all I did was coach what I'm already coaching and videoed it, right? Or take 10 seconds of an exercise and create a reel, but then create context around that reel. Here's what I'm doing with this athlete. Here's this exercise. Like people don't do enough of this, but blah blah blah. So it's just I'm just doing the stuff that I'm doing and I'm sharing it. I really believe that having a notebook, or if you want it to be digital, Evernote or Notes or whatever, as soon as somebody brings some type of issue to you, just write it down. Don't do anything with it, right? Just write it down. Like, man, like I'm struggling. Like my ankles, I feel like they're always going to give out. Okay, tell me a little bit more about that. Okay, ankle stability drills, mobility drills. Great. Well, you can do like 5 exercises I use with my clients to make their ankles feel more stable. If one person said it to you, there's thousands of people thinking about it, period, right? Another person comes like, like every fucking morning, like when we train, I feel good, but every morning my back feels cranky. Okay, hey, let's do these 5 drills. How do you feel now? Whoa, that feels so much better. Great, do these in the morning. Boom, video. Hey, 5 drills that you can do in the morning to make your back feel better. I mean, you're solving fucking problems. Tell me that you don't have 1,000 things that you can do that on and hit it from different angles. I don't know, there's like fucking 50 shoulder mobility exercises that you could do, but just do a video for 3 or 4 of them and then do that video 10 different times, right?
And your own training, look what came out of your training. You're writing for T Nation because you were videoing your own training. You and me were at the same time, concurrently and separately, doing the same sort of thing. I already had an article on T Nation about Hatfield Bulgarians, right? You were using a slightly different grip position. You were holding the safety spotter arms. I was holding onto the rack. And then you and me started going back and forth and adding weight. Then Tony Gelcourt jumps in. Motherfucker has got a torn Achilles tendon and loads up 3 plates for 8 on his good leg. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you, Tony? And it's like, all right, this is a cool idea. And, you were talking earlier about getting messages about like people who change your career. You've changed my career. Now, everything you've done, you don't need to go and ask T Nation or go write for T Nation to validate anything that you're doing. You're already there. But I thought, I got a cool idea. I think Luke will be down for this because I know that a lot of your friends, a lot of your heroes, they've all were T Nation guys. You came up reading T Nation.
Absolutely.
So it's like, here, let's do this. I've got the spine of it done. How about you and then pull Tony in? Let's get you guys to add a little piece. You went ham and wrote up a shit ton of stuff. And all of a sudden, T Nation's all good with this because like, hey, well, fuck, we get Luka Hocevar on board now, right? So all of a sudden, published article. You go and do a couple more pieces for him afterwards. You now can say wherever you want on your website or people, yeah, man, I've done some T Nation shit, which is a feather in the cap along the way. It got Tony reinvigorated because he hadn't been doing a lot of writing last little bit because, again, dude's Achilles is torn. Like, kind of messes with you a bit.
Yeah.
And we go forward from there. And I've been doing the same thing. I've got a piece now in the works with Tim DiFrancesco. You probably know Tim. Used to be the head strength coach for the LA Lakers, right? He's a pal of mine. Connected with him. He found me through social media because that was growing. Had him on the podcast. I got something that works with Austin Current, right? Former IFBB pro. He wrote, have you read this thing yet? Or gotten your hands on this?
No, I don't have that one. Oh, guess what's going to get ordered?
So, Science of Strength Training. So it's kind of like textbook meets really accessible. Austin's a good dude. So anyway, we got something in the works, and I've already got something published with my buddy Ben Mudge, who I met through the internet / Jonathan Goodman, who I met at the Kansas City Fitness Summit in 2018. And now Ben and I are pals. Ben's got 100,000 followers, looks like Chris Hemsworth. He's got his little blue check mark. He's a fun dude. He literally looks like Hemsworth. He's got cystic fibrosis, and that's his whole like thing. Jack can't get him to put a shirt on. So get him to do a bunch of shirtless videos in this article we wrote. That played really well. And all the shit comes from traveling to conferences. It comes from meeting and hanging out with people, right? I could have just come to your last one and said, I'll book the regular one, I'll attend the lectures, whatever, and then go back to my hotel room. But no, I did the VIP. I sat down at the dinners. I had a conversation with Max Shank at that one that inspired me to go more at my writing, right? And all this stuff comes from immersing yourself in this world, getting into social media, networking with people through that. And that's why half the cool shit that I've had happen the last couple of years has happened.
Yeah, I mean, you make another good point too, because it's not like you can't build relationship through social media. A lot of what's happened to me a lot too is that I'll meet people face to face, and then you're much more likely to continue developing that relationship because social media is there, right? They see your post, you see their post, you DM them, you message them, right? You get in a stream like we did, and it's like, yo, you guys want to knock out this, this article on half of Bulgarian split squats? Fuck yeah, let's go, let's do it, right? I mean, boom, 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 and now all these good things are coming from it, and it compounds. It really, really does. And another thing too is like, people see if you do good work, right? I mean, sometimes maybe it may take time because, like I said, there's so much noise. But if you're consistent, like, people will see you doing good work, and you'd be surprised at the opportunities that come. And what I mean by that is, like, I mean, for instance, I got a book offer to do a mobility book. I actually turned it down for a number of reasons. It was like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And without going into that, but that was literally, it was like, hey, we've been following you. Like, we think you're the guy to write this book. And I mean, there's a number of reasons why I said no to it, but regardless, that came from the content and the consistency over time of putting, valuable things out, right? I didn't go like, let me write this book. And there's been a number of actually, different things that have come up and offers that come up. Some that I've turned down just because it's been, you say yes to something, you say no to something else. But there's a project right now that with Kaisa, who will also be at this conference, that that I'm extremely excited about, that we're working on, and we're kind of in the beginning stages here. So but it's something that I think could, for coaches, that could be a game changer. And once again, we met in person, coached her, but then, I mean, she is in Seattle, but still a lot of it also developed through social, right? Because we find out about each other through social. So the amount of, notice like what we're talking about here. A lot of the things that happen is like, going out, meeting people, right? And then kind of reinforcing those relationships through social media. And also, look, people will go and look at your shit, right? And they do connect through that. Like, if you look at somebody, okay, well, they're not doing anything, you kind of forget about them, might not connect with them as much. But if like on top of that, they're like, damn, like this person's putting out really good stuff, he's really consistent, you have a different view about them, right? And then the thing is, right or wrong, right? They might be a great human being, but we still kind of look at this stuff and go like, wow, like they're doing XYZ on social media, they're putting out this type of content, right? And you get drawn to that. So it's like there's so many positives, and I feel like, I'm a principle-based thinking type of person, right? Like that, meaning methods are phenomenal, but principles are everything. And like some of the things that we're talking about are principles. And we talked about principles of connecting, going to events and connecting with both the people that are attending, the people that are speaking, right? And like, then we're talking about the principles of creating value for the marketplace and how to do that, right? Because the medium can, one of these platforms can get wiped out tomorrow. Well, the things we're talking about it's relevant. Like, are we still creating value through creating videos that solve problems? Okay, there's gonna be a new platform that's on there. You're doing the same thing, platforms changing, but the principle of what we're doing stays the same. And that's the filter you kind of got to look at stuff through. And we are definitely, here's the thing, a lot of people are, uncertainty creates anxiety. I mean, shit, if there hasn't been uncertainty for the last 2 years, and I don't know when, right? In whole industries, and where, they're switching shit up sometimes every week. Oh, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this, right? That's uncertainty. I mean, in that time, so if you're a coach and you want to find more certainty, well, first of all, you're going to do it with work. I'll say that first of all, but man, you want to surround yourself with people that aren't going like, they're going like, yo, here's what we're going to do. Here's the angle. Like, we're going to crush it. Like, you want to be around that because it rubs off on you, instead of being like, I don't know what to do. And you're going to be like, fucking, I went to this conference. I was around these folks. Like, man, I'm about to crush this next year. Here's what they're doing. Like, I got strategies. I got different mindsets and views, right? I'm starting to see myself differently. Let's fucking go. And the thing is, if you looked at stats, right? I mean, you'd kind of see who are the people that excel, right? Versus who are the people that don't. I tell you what, scarcity mindset, you make decisions out of scarcity, you don't get good results. You make decisions out of power. Now we're talking. Now we're going somewhere. You know what I mean?
You alluded to something there too that I really always jump on. You don't just connect and put the effort into the speakers. Go meet the other people, the other attendees. They're on the same journey you're on. A couple of good examples of each. So first event I went to, 2017, Kansas City, met a lot of people, right? Met a lot of speakers, but got in and added to Facebook the other people that I was meeting. Met my buddy Jeff Aker. Turns out he's from Alberta, NSCA provincial head of that. I've since connected, gone to his events here locally. I go to the dinners with the speakers, insiders. I got to spend some time with my buddy Robert Linkle. That's how I met Linkle. Linkle's good shit. Someone I want you to know about. And then Tim, I go and attend his event a couple of years, 2018, 2019 in Spokane. All of a sudden, come this year, he needs some speakers. He asks me to go. So that's my first professional speaking engagement, not counting emceeing my own event. That's huge, right? That plays out on social media. People see that and like, holy shit, already some invitations to do more stuff. But also, you check the speakers out. Yeah, there's going to be some people who everybody's fawning all around. Like, I got some one-on-one time with Brett Contreras each time I met him at these events. Great dude. But he also has everybody swirling around him. But Pete Dupuis is sitting at the back of the room. He's on the presenter list quietly. And Pete's a chill guy. But he's at an event where everybody else is a coach. And Pete's a business guy. He's partners with the coach. So I made a point of sitting down with him saying, listen, man, I've listened to you on podcasts before. I was actually really excited to see you present. Pete's now a good pal, and he supported my work along the way, right? So when I went to 2017, your event, you and I hung out a little bit. You're also the busy host. So I dove in, I got to know Max Shank. I spent some time hanging out with Martin Rooney. I got to know Sam Pogue really well, chat with John Russ. And there were some people I didn't get enough of time. I didn't get enough time with Joel Jameson. That's going to change. This time around, I'm going to get more time with Joel. I've had Joel on the podcast. I read his book. We talked about this last time, Ultimate MMA Conditioning. That's a sweet book. Every coach should read it. So, but I didn't try to like steal all your attention. Man, you're busy being a host, trying to make sure that 200 plus people were having a good time. Right. This time, I'll get a chance to do more of that.
And it is, I mean, I guarantee you, so here's what usually happens that, and even, like I said, this year's been wacky for sure, but a lot of times, the people in the crowd are either, I already are speakers or they're future speakers. Like, there's so many people, like, I know there's people that come into this event, that I actually coached and are doing, like, they have amazing businesses, right? I mean, I know Jamon just signed up. I mean, Jamon just opened his 3rd location. Easy Fitness, they're killing. Chris Tatella, like in Jersey. I mean, it's like these folks have a lot to teach. So you go, and now you're having, I'm not going to divulge, and I try to make surprises and always make the Vigor Summit. That I don't skimp on the cost of it. That's at the top notch. But you're sitting there for for breakfast, for a VIP dinner, and you have a conversation with somebody, and you're like, they're dropping fucking gems. You know what I mean? Like, what? And like, yeah, man, like, I've been doing this for this long, boom, boom, boom. Like, this is what I'm doing in my business. I just launched this. That's doing 10 grand a month online. Right. And it's like, shit, like, that's not even the speaker. This person's got tons of value. Boom, connect. You go home, you stay connected. I have so many stories. This is our 6th big event, right? We've done 6. the stories that we get are part of the things that fuel me. And every time, I mean, these events are really fucking hard to put on. It's pretty much it's another business. Basically, it's like opening another business every year, right? And I can let you know that on the front end, I've never even broke even, right? This year, tough one, we'll lose money on the front end for sure. And like that, I'm transparent. So I like talking about this to give people an idea of, if you do a really good event, and like I said, we put it on at the nicest hotel, the food will be top notch. I mean, it's gonna be fucking top notch. If it's not top notch, I don't want to do it. So to do that, there's a cost. There's always a price to pay, and I don't just mean money. There's always a price to pay in anything in life, to achieve anything. So we do that, and the reality of it is that, like, you're gonna have people there that what fuels me to continue doing it is that later on they go like, man, I talked to this person, this happened. Like it's almost like connecting the dots backwards, and they go, this was the time where this happened, and because of that, now my business is here. It changed me as a coach, changed my career, built these relationships, and it's what keeps fueling me to do these things. Because at this point in time, we've had, live, we've had this will be over 1,000, it'll be like over 11, I think 1,000, over 1,100 people that have attended it live, not to count the virtual and stuff, everything else. And man, that's, now you start having 1,000 people that have been at the events, that have had value connections built. And it's a ripple that creates a wave, right? And I want to continue doing that, because 3-4 years down the line, somebody's like, man, the people I met, the things that I learned there, the belief system that shifted for me that day is what made me do, now maybe they have a franchise, or they kill it online, or they made a certification, or, something like that. And I mean, shit, I remember, Rustin, for instance, we met at an event and he spoke, and like, we sat down and I said, I love your stuff. I said, would you come and do an in-staff for me? I think you should make this into seminars, and literally, like, Rustin will tell the story that, like, there would be no PPSC without me bugging him. I don't know, I would just like to think that even if I had, the smallest part of it, it's one of those ripples, right? That I was like, yo, you got to teach this stuff, and then it became a course, and then it became a certification, and now it's certified thousands and thousands and thousands of coaches. And we'll have the PPSC team doing a hands-on, which will be great. But this is how this stuff happens. And when we talk about impact, I mean, I think that the two things that we keep coming back to is, like, go to events, meet people, right? 2, create, right? Because those are the things that, like, you see how those two things, like, come together. And if you creating impact, and let's be real, like, everybody that's listening to this, everybody that's coming to the event, like, no one is coming there and going like, I don't give a shit about, like, money and, like, the security of everybody does. Like, let's not take that out of it. I want, one of the projects that, like I said, I was working on that's very big into the beginning stages is about that. It's about how do we make coaches more successful as coaches, meaning they're transforming more clients, but making more money, because the right people they're doing great work, they deserve it. Like, this industry is still young, and there needs to be people to continue to develop this industry from the inside out. And and one of our mottos in this new business is like, no trainer left behind. And it's more than I can talk about here, but I think that the industry leaves a lot of people behind. I think there's a lot of elitism. I think there's a lot of great people doing great things, but sometimes it gets lost because of the arguing and shit talking and all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And like, while I used to be there a little bit in that space, I'm dropping my ego completely out of that, because at the end of the day, there's so many people that need to be helped, and we need to, like, kind of like rise all boats to make it a better space. And the event is part of that. The summit's part of that, but like, some of the stuff I'm working on is for that, because if we all make better money, more money, because we're helping fucking people transform their lives, like, man, like, that's the win. You know what I mean? So that you have a real career, like a real career. And like, this is another thing that I'm very, very, very passionate about, because I've seen, like, through the 15 years, and I've been doing business coaching for 8, I've seen people that are really good people and really good coaches leave the industry, right? Because of money, not because they're like, I don't love this industry, but because of money, right? Man, I'm going to do something because it's more secure, so I can, I can't see myself doing this long term and taking care of my family. And like, that breaks my heart, man. Like, You know what I mean? Like that, it does keep me up at night. And I think about these things because we need more like people that are like the soldiers in this army of transformation, are leaving, right? But we need them, but they're leaving because of a financial issue. And it's like that's part of my drive to like teach business and teach marketing and systems and also like improve the industry so everybody can do better. Just like I have a belief, and I think we talked about this a while ago, that coaches will have, there's some of it already happening, like contracts and deals with companies. Like, if anybody follows basketball skills, there's a guy, his name's Chris Brickley, #1 basketball skills coach in the world. I mean, this dude is like, like I said, from, started from the bottom and now here guy, you know what I'm saying? And, used to play for Kansas, was a skills coach for the Knicks. I mean, he now has, he runs Black Ops. He trains every top name that you can imagine, one-on-one skills. But he's got a deal with Beats by Dre, Puma. He's got his own Chipotle bowl. I mean, shit that you can't even. It's mind fucking blowing. You know what I'm saying? And nothing but respect to the guy, right? Because 5 years ago, even 5 years ago, you go like, hey, there's gonna be a basketball skills guy. This is gonna have a Beats by Dre deal, a Puma deal, his own bowl at Chipotle. Fucking like, I mean, I can keep going on all the shit. A Spalding, no, a Wilson basketball contract. He's got his own balls. Like you name it, right? You'd be like, there's no fucking way. But I've been saying this for a long time. Like, there's gonna be coaches. Like, I'm gonna make some shit happen where it's like there's gonna be some big deals, like big fucking deals, right? And you got to believe it. And you know what I'm saying? It's like it's gonna happen. But you got we have to rise the industry up where that becomes normal. Just like now, it's like no, college athletes are getting contracts, right? They didn't before. It's changed. You got to believe that shit, and you have to act in a way where that happens. And to me, like the summit and everything that I do tries to do that.
I would let you go for another hour, but you have an event to plan. I've got a call in a moment. So enjoy the bag, dude. It's always great having you on. Of course, you're always going to be welcome back. I look forward to, I'll see you in a week. And everybody listening, go and check out Luka's social media. Go check out the page for this event. I'm excited about it. And this has been a crazy year. And I understand there's a lot of reasons maybe to say, maybe not this year. There's now a virtual option. You can plug into it. It's not the same as going, because we talked about all the getting in the mix and meeting the people, but there's still a lot of good in there. So anywhere people can go find that.
Yes. So to the summit, like the physical summit, it's vigorgroundsummit.com. Right, very simple. VIGORSUMMIT. Sorry, VIGORGROUND summit.com. Vigorgroundsummit.com. That takes you to the page that goes to the physical summit. I'm actually pulling up the other one real quick right here. All right. Bada boom, bada bang. All right. And we got, so the virtual one is vigorgroundsummit.com/virtual-summit-2021. But I can just give you guys a link for this.
Sure.
I think
it's all over your social media anyway.
It's on my IG page. In my bio is the virtual summit one. And
beautiful.
You get recordings for life. So it's important to know. So it's virtual. People are asking like, what if I miss this, that, the other? We're doing honestly a crazy deal for virtual right now, and you will keep your recordings for forever. So
beautiful. Well, Luke, I appreciate it. I'm going to see you soon. I'll pop this episode up in the morning, so that way it gives people a little bit of lead time to make a last minute decision. And thanks, brother. You have an awesome day.
See you.